Well, good morning and welcome to ELEVENSES. It's show number 236. It's Sunday, May the 8th. This is a recorded show because in a few minutes I'm off out on the bike to do some bike training down in Kent, and hopefully the sun will come out again. It was a sunny morning earlier. Right, what have we got for you today? Well, a police and crime commissioner has been caught speeding 5 times in 12 weeks after promising a crackdown on, you guessed it, speeding. Why the 5p per litre fuel cut in the budget didn't actually reach the pumps. Electric motorcycle stolen in Great Yarmouth. I think that's the first I've seen anyway. A personal speed camera app developer claims that the developers are actually facing abuse from UK drivers. And just 2 more combat bomber models are to be built for no less than $155,000. We'll look at the flasher armband and ask if it's worth €149. And today's talking point: are we turning into a nation of vigilantes? So settle yourselves down for the next few minutes as I take you through the stories. Now, don't forget, if you have anything to say, I will answer you at the end of the show when I get back from my training. So I expect comments to be responded to mid-afternoon to early evening. Right, okay, so on with the show then. Well, first things first, if you missed Wednesday's Elevenses special, I was joined by CE standards expert Paul MAY.FREE, who gave me the benefit of his specialist knowledge when we looked over 2 pairs of typical biking boots that looked outwardly pretty similar. And he explained what we should be looking for, why we should be looking for it, and what to avoid when parting for cash. So if you didn't see it, I would suggest that you do go back on YouTube and catch up with it there. Don't forget, these shows go out every Wednesday and Sunday at 11, but you can catch up over on the YouTube channel, and the address is there scrolling across the screen at the moment. Don't forget the all-important UK on the end of survival skills, though, if you do want to review that particular show. Right, okay, if you fancy joining the June mini ride out, by the way, details are in the info at the header of the show. It's from Epping out to Essex. There are only a couple of places left on that ride, so do book now if you want to come out with me for a pleasant amble in the countryside. Right, okay, so on with the news. If you're going to make a stand on a platform of cracking down on speeding in order to make knots safe, it would be a good idea not to be caught for that very offence, and very particularly not 5 times in 12 weeks, and all whilst driving cars with personalised number plates. Now, that's the record for Police and Crime Commissioner for Nottinghamshire Police, Caroline Henry. She was elected to the post in May 2021, and the offences happened in a 30 limit 5 times within the 12-week period, which actually happened between March and June last year. So at least one of them was before she was elected, and at least one of them was after she was elected. And one of the 30-mile-per-hour speed cameras clocked her speed at 40 miles per hour. Now, Henry happens to be the wife of Conservative MP Darren Henry. She admitted the offences, including 2 committed on consecutive days, at a previous hearing in February at Nottingham Magistrates Court. The case returned to court last week, was adjourned until 19th of July, when Henry is expected to argue that 2 of the offences were caused by emergencies, with one being when she was very concerned for one of her children. Henry did not respond to questions over whether she would resign. Presumably, she'll be waiting too for the result of inquiries. Now, you may be wondering why the promised 5p budget cut in fuel duty didn't result in lower prices at the pumps. I seem to recall that one supermarket chain, Asda, if I recall correctly, announced that they would implement the 5p cut immediately, but I didn't see much evidence of prices going down anywhere else. Back in the budget in late March, of course, Chancellor Rishi Sunak said his 5p reduction was the biggest cut to all fuel duty rates ever. So you may be wondering why fuel is more expensive than ever. It's gone up another couple of pence in the last week or two. Well, there are several reasons. The first was that the cut was to fuel duty. Now that's charged on wholesale prices. So what it meant was the fuel that's already in petrol stations had already been bought at the pre-budget price. So even before the Chancellor's announcement, the Retailers Association, who represents 65% of filling stations in the UK, had actually warned that this tax cut would not be felt immediately. But surely you're no doubt asking, haven't the petrol stations been resupplied by now? And shouldn't we be seeing that cut in the pump price? Well, the RAC's Fuel Watch organisation claims that instead of being passed on to customers in April, what actually happened was that the retailers used the duty cut to increase their own margins by around 4p a litre, claiming that they'd been under financial pressure due to COVID and the price rises. So basically that apparently soaked up all bar 1 penny of the cut, which was supposed to go to help riders and drivers. Now, at the same time, the whole plan was actually heavily criticised by experts who said that Rishi Sunak should have cut the duty, and not, instead of cutting the duty, should have cut the VAT on fuel, because that would have reduced the pump price at the point of sale, and it would have kicked in immediately. So it would have benefited customers as bulk prices continue to rise, because it's proportionate, obviously, to the pump price, and that's something a cut in duty won't do. Right, okay, so that's why petrol's so expensive. Of course, if you've got an electric motorcycle, you'll just be looking at the rise in price of electricity. But no day goes by without a report of a motorcycle being stolen somewhere around the country. But this particular report from Great Yarmouth caught my eye because, as far as I know, it's the first electric motorcycle that has been reported stolen. I'm sure there have been others. I just haven't seen any stories on them. So the bike in question was a black and grey 0S motorcycle, and it vanished from a residential street sometime between 7 p.m. on Sunday, May the 1st, and 4 a.m. Monday, May the 2nd. And as I say, it's the first electric bike, certainly as that first Zero I've heard of going missing. So if the theft is actually resolved, I'd be interested to hear who took it, whether it was opportunistic use on a scoots, just pushing it around the corner, or whether it was an organised gang who are well aware of the bike's 15k price tag, because I suspect there's actually a rapidly growing market for these machines with the price of petrol surging. So not surprisingly, police are searching for witnesses who may have seen suspicious activity in the area. Incidentally, if you've not ridden at a Zero, the importers are actually touring the UK right at this moment with test bikes. As you can see, some of the dates have already gone there, but from the 14th of May, there are a bunch of opportunities to test a Zero. I'd suggest, if you haven't ridden one, go and give it a go. You might be surprised. Right, okay, now, next problem. The recently created app called SpeedCam Anywhere has hit the headlines, with the app's developers claiming they've been threatened by drivers. So what is SpeedCam Anywhere? Let me just get the picture up again. There we go. It's basically, let me explain. I'll turn to the website to explain what it does. SpeedCam Anywhere turns your smartphone or tablet into a portable speed camera. Simply install the app, stand in a safe place at the side of the road, and point your camera at a passing vehicle and tap to capture a short video, which will be analysed to accurately calculate its speed. The developers claim SmartCam Anywhere is an artificial intelligence system that can accurately and verifiably measure vehicle speeds. The app uses the standard smartphone camera. So how does it work? Well, basically, the app. Oh, I've just gone to the wrong button there. The app calculates the distance between the wheels of the car. So basically, what it does is it searches out the vehicle make from the registration plate, and then, having got the model of car, it knows where the wheels are and how far they are apart, and it uses a clever algorithm to calculate the speed from the time taken for the two wheels to pass through the shot. And meanwhile, the location data the app records gives you the speed limit. Now, the option is then you can save the video, or you can generate a report which is said to be evidential for the vehicle speed, and you can share it with your local authority. Now, the app developers claim that therefore the local authorities can generate road safety reports and identify speeding hotspots and demonstrate the impact that speeding has on pedestrian deaths and air pollution in your street. And they hope it will encourage police to take speeding more seriously and enable residents, pedestrians and cyclists to document traffic crimes in their area. Although I'm wondering how a cyclist is going to be able to take a photo whilst on the move. Anyway, now the interesting thing is, although I actually found it on Google Play, it does say not available for your devices. And it appears neither Google nor Apple have actually approved the app's distribution. Google said it was not possible to estimate the speed of a passing vehicle using AI alone, and frankly, they have an awful lot of experience in the topic, but the company claims that they have demonstrated the accuracy of the technology. Apple's yet to approve it and haven't given a reason for the delay. Someone giving his name as Sam, says he's the app's founder, says, "We're not sure why they would block a useful piece of technology, something that could save people's lives." And he goes on to claim that the developers, credited with backgrounds in Silicon Valley and top UK universities, have been forced into anonymity by a negative response from drivers. "We're getting quite abusive emails," says Sam, the app's founder, who spoke on condition of anonymity to a tech paper. "It's a Marmite product. Some people think it's a good idea. Some think it turns us into a surveillance state. I can see both sides of that, but I think if you're going to have speed limits, then it's the law, you obey them, and you should enforce the law." He says, "It's not a personal vendetta against anyone. It's just, how do we make our roads safe?" So that's Sam, the app founder, speaking. Now, frankly, I read this and thought, who has actually tried to track down the app's developers and threaten them? Or has some more generalized negative publicity been spiced up to make a story that gets national coverage and puts the app itself in the spotlight? If you do read the sort of full press release, you'll find there's a lot of the story talking about what great things the app will do for safety. And here's another question. Why is an app dedicated to safety apparently built with a limited number of credits? It seems you get 20 credits. Each of one seems to be one snap of a passing car. They are free. And then you have to pay £15,000 for the start again. £15 to snap the next 1,000 passing vehicles to see if any of them are speeding. Now, okay, I'm sure there are going to be development costs. There will be these server maintenance costs, but you know, I'm kind of think that this is less about policing the streets publicly, and possibly more about someone who's found an angle from which he hopes to make some cash. Talking of stolen motorcycles, as I was a moment ago, I misread a Daily Record headline. Thieves steal 25k motorbikes and kit in raid at Scott's home as police launch probe as the theft of motorcycles and a kilt. I have to say the kilt would have been more interesting, but hey ho. Had they been busy stealing, I'm sure that they wouldn't have bothered with this ghastly creation. I've lost my picture. Hang on a minute. Dum-de-dum. Right, I will get back to you. There was a picture. There it is. Right, okay, that for some reason vanished. That is the Combat Motorcycles FA13 Bomber model. I think it is anyway. Combat is the outfit formerly known as Confederate Motorcycles. After Civil War sensitivities, they were forced to change their name. It's a limited edition. It's powered by a rather more than 2-litre V-twin that produces 145 horsepower and 160 foot-pounds of torque at just 2,000 RPM. The wishbone front suspension, the cantilever rear frame are apparently carved from billet aluminium. I'm not sure why, but there we go. There are only 2 left apparently in this model run to build, and either will set you back $155,000. Now, for that, you get a tank capable of carrying barely more than 3 UK gallons. So I doubt you'll get much further than 100 miles on a top-up with a a 2 litre plus engine. But quite frankly, looking at it, I doubt you would want to. At the other end of the how much is too much spectrum are these devices. It's got the rather unfortunate name of flasher, and they are effectively illuminated armbands, but they're not just any old illuminated armbands. They are high-tech illuminated armbands. You snap them on with that special bendy bracelet, and you're instantly apparently more visible on the road. Well, that's the claim anyway. And yes, if 3 LEDs either side can do the trick, then make you visible amongst all the other lights on the road, then maybe you'll be a bit more visible than with no lights on your bicycle or e-step scooter or any other device that you care to ride. Now, what makes them smart? Well, the one size clasp is automatically adapting to the shape of your arm, it says. Although I'm looking at that, I'd be struggling to see how that's going to fit over a bulky winter jacket, but hey ho. And then the button allows you to cycle through 4 modes. So you have a whole control center at your fingertip, the press release says. Now, what do you get for your money? Well, basically, you get a day mode when the constant lights are off. You get a 3 additional modes: night, jogging, and emergency. Now, in night mode, the armbands show 3 white LEDs to the front and 3 red LEDs to the back. In jogging modes, the flasher armbands glow constant yellow front and rear. And in emergency mode, both armbands shift to red and flash front and rear. But there's more. Night or day, if you waggle your elbow in the direction you want to move or turn, the armband will flash amber yellow on that side, and apparently you don't need to let go of the handlebars and sacrifice control of your ride that way. And if you decelerate strongly, then both of the flasher armbands will automatically illuminate red on the back. So how much for this multifunction flashing LED light? Well, the super early bird offer currently sits at €149. Last time I checked that, there were a couple left, and then it goes up fairly significantly by another €20 to €169. But they're not actually shipping yet, so don't get your hopes up too much. Delivery is promised, well, estimated, I would say, is what the website says, for November. Of course, if you do want something right now, what you can do is you can go, of course, off to eBay, and you'll find something like that for a £5. Of course, it won't flash if you stick your arm out and waggle your elbows, but or you can get something from Halfords for much the same price. I kind of think what I know I would be spending my money on. And finally, into today's discussion point then. Now, I would say that one of the most divisive moves from the police in recent years has been the active seeking out of information about driving offences from private citizens. Now, dash cams obviously have become more and more popular over the years, and not surprisingly, they are capturing more and more incidents on the road. Now, the original intent of dash cams was actually self-protection, really. It was to gather evidence in the case of an insurance claim. And one of the actual earliest videos I can recall from a dash cam was actually a cash for crash scam, where a stationary vehicle suddenly reversed into the car that had actually already stopped behind it, and then claimed that the driver had run into the back of the first vehicle and put in a whiplash claim for the passenger. Now, the scam came to light when it was actually caught on the camera, and it turned out that the gang involved had actually got away with this particular little trick quite a few times before. And of course, there have been incidents where drivers and riders have been shopped by their own dash cams, when they were seized by police after a crash or a police stop and found to have incriminating evidence on them. And yes, every now and again, you do capture an incident of dodgy driving on a webcam. Excuse me. Just a few months ago, last autumn, you may recall I posted a video of a lorry virtually forcing me off the road in Wales. But things moved to a next level, really, when dashcam manufacturer Nextbase actually went about creating a means of submitting video directly to the police. Now, it's called the National dash cam safety portal, and the claimed aim is to improve the safety of our roads by targeting the culprits of the worst incidents of dangerous driving. And basically, to that end, Nextbase encouraged anybody with video footage that they believe captures a serious incident to submit a video to the portal, and then it could be given to the relevant police force to assess. Now, just a year after its launch, which was in July 2018, Nextbase said the portal had received almost 5,000 video uploads. Now, I haven't been able to claim, excuse me, I haven't been able to find any figures for more recent uploads, but I can't imagine that the numbers dropped. Now, they claimed at the time, just at this after that year of operation, that they'd saved national police forces 68,474 hours, or almost 10,000 days if you prefer, of incident processing time. And that was based on a figure of 14 hours per video, although precisely how the police spend 14 hours on a video, I'm not quite sure, and precisely how the police would therefore save 14 hours on a video, thanks to the next space, isn't actually entirely clear. Presumably, they still have to trawl through the footage to see what's genuinely offence and what's simply someone submitting a bit of footage of somebody else doing something that annoyed them. Predictably, the anti-speeding organisation Brake got behind it, describing the portal as an elegant solution which enables the police to process this vital data without wasting their scarce resources. Now, Nextbase say that they can pretty much guarantee the standard of the video uploads because the uploader has to be willing to go to court. And so they say there's little risk that small transgressions would be reported and then waste police time. And I have to say to that, I am very skeptical. Now, Richard Browning, director of Nextbase, suggests that the fear of having video uploaded will actually act as a deterrent. He said this is about road safety and saving lives. It's about being preventative and stopping dangerous drivers causing injury and death before that scenario occurs. Well, frankly, I'm struggling to see that, as of course the video is after the event. It's post hoc rather than ad hoc. So it seems to me that what they're doing here is attempting to sell their product by playing on a sort of public service, public safety angle. All too often, the people making the most noise about road safety in general and speeding in particular are the ones flouting their own rules. You only have to go back to the story at the top of the show. So it is using public dash cam footage actually creating an environment which favors safety, or is it actually creating vigilantes? Now, one thing I will say is that clips rarely show the full context. For to give you an instance, how many of us have missed a speed limit sign? If you're driving at 40 in a 30, believing it is actually a 40 limit, and somebody's behind you with a dash cam, you're nailed. And in fact, I did just that earlier this week. I passed a speed sign somewhere. I didn't see it, and it was only actually when I spotted the speed camera with a 30 limit sign on it somewhere down the road that I realised I was no longer in a 30. But what if that Nextbase dashcam owner had been following me when I'd appeared to have flouted the speed limit? What if a speedcam app user had been standing on the pavement? Now, IAM Road Smart have actually suggested that this kind of evidence demonises drivers for making one-off mistakes that even the perfectly normal, sensible, law-abiding drivers and riders have will make. And there's no real way of fighting it either. Now, I got a camera caught me going through a bus gateway. Now, what it didn't show, because of course it's a lovely infrared camera, is that what didn't pick up was the torrential rain at the time, which made it difficult to actually see the missing street lighting on that particular bit of road because there were roadworks going on. They actually turned off a couple of the street lights, and it didn't show the fact that the roadworks themselves obstructed one of the signs telling me that there was a bus gateway ahead from my driving position, and I didn't spot the other one. Now, by the time I realised that I'd made a mistake, I couldn't exactly reverse backwards through it. I probably got another ticket for that. So, of course, my appeal I put in against saying that all the circumstances made the signs impossible to see. It was dismissed because I was shown a photo of the same scene on a nice sunny day, pointing out that the signs were perfectly visible. reversible. Well, not in the case of the offence I committed. So I'm not saying road users should be immune to road rules, but far too often it's actually a small minority who seem to seek out conflict and almost create confrontation in order to provoke a reaction which can be uploaded. And the most recent example of this was actually a pedestrian who had somebody else filming him, I think. And what he was doing was waiting for vehicles to turn into a side road and then walking out in front of them in order to force them to stop and give them a lecture on their dangerous driving and to remind them about those new highway code rules which say drivers should give way to pedestrians waiting to cross a side turning. Predictably, some of the responses were less than polite, but I'm far from certain that that's a good situation to put yourself in. My opinion, bad driving needs education and correction, not punishment. And maybe the solution is to actually allow evidence like this to be submitted to the police. Maybe a police report could go ahead, but perhaps the best solution would be to restrict punishment to a driver education course and to leave out the fines and the points on the license. That way, wouldn't everybody think the whole thing was a bit more reasonable? Right, that's it for today. I'll be back again with a live show on Wednesday. At the moment, it's live anyway. We've got nothing booked in the diary. Don't forget, I am offering courses at the moment. I've been quite busy over the last few days. Diary's a little bit more empty over the next couple of weeks. Do drop me a line if you want a training course. And of course, if you have enjoyed the show, please do pop over to my Ko-fi page and support me over there. But for now, that is pretty much it from me, Kevin Williams of Survival Skills. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're out there on the bike today, as I will be in just a minute or two, do ride safe out there and stay shiny side up.